welcoming everyone to a special draft episode of Craze's Corner. We're going to be talking about some guys who were drafted that we like their fit and guys who are going to perform for you in fantasy this year and also going to have some good dynasty value. So if you play dynasty football, if you're going to be doing some redraft leagues this year, make sure you stay tuned to learn all you can about some up-and-coming rookies. But first, we're going to get into some news stories. First news story. Big story that we've been following all throughout the offseason. John Lynch came out and said that Deebo Samuel is likely to stay a part of the 49ers for this season. Does this mean anything? Not really. But this is just the latest report. John Lynch actually came out and said this. They said this about AJ Brown too before he was traded to the Eagles. So he still could be moved, but it's looking less and less likely as the draft has now passed. DeAndre Hopkins has been suspended for 6 games for violating the NFL's drug policies. It's currently unknown what the drug was, and he's supposedly looking into it himself to try and figure it out. So we will keep monitoring that situation. But as it sits right now, Hollywood Brown will be their number 1 wide receiver for the first 6 weeks. And the third news story is Tyrann Mathieu has signed a 3-year, $33 million deal with the Saints. He gets to go back home to Louisiana, so he's definitely extremely excited about that. But sticking with our theme, I want to hear from you guys who you guys think is going to be an extremely impactful rookie in their rookie season. And you can let us know using the media app. The media app is a virtual press conferencing app that allows you to host your own virtual press conference from your phone and post it to all your social medias. So all you have to do is just record it, post it to a social media, tag me or tag media, as you can see below. And once you do that, we'll be able to read it and we'll be able to watch and respond to you and let you know what we think of your take. So make sure you check that app out. It's on the Google Play and the App Store. Now let's welcome in our guests. We have Zach, Jeff, and Will. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Woohoo!
All hyped up. Talk about some prospects here. They've now found their new teams, and we get to decide whether or not we want them on our team. So let's get right into this. I'm going to start it off with a guy everyone's probably surprised I'm going to be talking about, the new number 1 running back for the Atlanta Falcons. Maybe not to start the year, but come the end of the season, I think he will be on the field over 50% of the time. Tyler Allgeier, he was drafted in the 5th round by the Atlanta Falcons. His main competition is going to be Cordarelle Patterson. But currently the Falcons have almost no wide receivers on their roster. I think Cordarelle Patterson is going to be used a lot more outside as opposed to in the backfield because they will have to do that. They have no wide receivers. Tyler, he had 1,800 yards after contact. He's 2nd in rushing touchdowns, and he had the 3rd best PFF grade of any guy who had over 150 carries in the past 2 seasons. They cut Mike Davis after drafting Tyler, which I think is important because they kind of would fill that same role. Both are bigger guys who can run through tackles. That's not really Cordarelle Patterson's strong suit. I think him and Patterson will be a good duo. They both have their skill sets. Tyler wasn't really used so much as a pass-catching option as Cordarelle Patterson will be. But I think Tyler will score more touchdowns come the end of the season. And even if he doesn't this year, he will be going forward because Cordarelle Patterson is getting older. They now have Marcus Mariota as their quarterback. This is going to be a rush-first offense. You're going to see a lot of, maybe it will be Desmond Ridder come the end of the season, but I think for sure with the connections with Arthur Smith, they're going to go back to his ground and pound game that he ran in Tennessee. And I think that plays well into Tyler's strong suit. But what do you guys think? Are you guys excited about the opportunity? It's just Cordarelle Patterson he's got to beat out. And, I think that can be done fairly easily. But what do you guys think?
Who wants to go first?
Well, I didn't know Zach was going to read Cordarelle Patterson's career obituary right now. Hey, I'd give anything for Cordarelle to be on this show just once. That would be classic.
Yeah.
You know what? It's a decent pick. I don't know, I was excited last season with Mike Davis, knowing that he was just a plotter. But I thought Arthur Smith was going to be able to try to force feed him the ball like he did Derrick Henry. So now I'm just kind of like, maybe it was just Derrick Henry and not Arthur Smith's scheme. So now I really don't know. I'm looking at, Patterson. I'm looking at him. Maybe they're going to use him more like a Deebo Samuel, if you will, a dual threat guy. But I still see him getting the carries at least first and second down, maybe bringing in Allgeier closer to goal line if they happen to even get there. But anyway, and I do take issue that the Falcons do have a wide receiver on their roster, Mr. Drake London, so he might be a wide receiver too. I just think he's still going to see a lot of usage in that offense. He's pretty much the only one there that's a holdover from last year that is used to that whole system. So, I think he's going to still see quite a bit of carries, quite a bit of receptions. I still think he's going to be used a lot.
Yeah, and I think he will be used a lot. I just think it comes down to him being used as a receiver more than as a running back. He will still see running back carries, obviously. Third down work is going to be a lot for Cordarelle Patterson as opposed to Tyler. But Tyler will see, as you said, that goal line work, which we know. If you look at Damian Harris, he was on the field maybe 30% of the time. Meanwhile, on a much better offense. But I think Tyler's more of a stash guy in Dynasty or possibly a waiver wire addition. He's not a guy I'm like extremely targeting high or anything because you don't have to do that. But I think you'll be able to stash him in Dynasty. Late second round is where I'd probably go on Tyler, just due to the fact that I hate Cordarelle Patterson and this is his time. Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, still don't get the Cordarelle Patterson thing, but I do agree with you. I think we said it before the show. He has an easier path to being the starting running back than a lot of these other guys in this draft do at the current moment. Mm-hmm. And he could be the RB1 this roster next year at this time, depending on what happens this season. So yeah, great pick. But I don't know. I think if you're in for another season of Cordarelle Patterson being very fantasy relevant,
or he'll fall off the cliff like he did at the end of last season. Yeah, you never know. And with Marcus Mariota, like how often is he going to check it down to Cordarelle Patterson? Like Matt Ryan did. That's another thing you'd probably have to be worried about drafting Cordarelle Patterson this year.
Every play.
Yeah.
Every play. Definitely not. It's not going to be every play. But we'll see. Let's move on. Zach, why don't you introduce your first player that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jameson Williams. So I'm not sure if I put it in that order, but yeah, we're going to start there. Not the best team with drafting wide receivers in the first round if you just take out Calvin Johnson, which I guess kind of makes up for like 3 bad picks. So, but I believed he would have been probably the number 1 wide receiver in this draft had he have not been injured. Just another, great wide receiver from Alabama. Everyone knows the story about how he had to transfer to get away from the other 2 first-round rookie wide receivers that were drafted. The unfortunate thing, though, is he did go to Detroit. So for the foreseeable future, it's a little tough right now. But I just think the talent's there. And you talk about an offense that, like, it's like the Browns effect. Like when you have like a top 5 draft pick every single year for 20 years, inevitably you're going to have a decent offense. So I think that's kind of where the Lions are heading. I think Jameson Williams is greater sign talent-wise, pure perspective, any other wide receiver in that room with what DJ Chark do. Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is just a result of being the only guy there. And you got Hawkinson, Swift. So as great as he is, I think he's just going to get lost in the mix. But as far as dynasty, definitely somebody I want to have in my roster.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a tough path for him to see 100-plus targets this season, which would probably equate to him being a fantasy relevant player on a bad offense. But I think he will in the future once the Lions upgrade the quarterback position, whether that's next year in the draft. They could find multiple other ways to do it. But definitely, I had him as my wide receiver 1. I think he should have gone before Drake London. And I think Garrett Wilson also should have gone before Drake London, in my opinion. But he's an extremely talented guy. I just, better hope Detroit doesn't make him retire early too, because we've seen them do that to a couple players before. But those players have both had, fantasy relevant seasons before they had to retire. So I'm excited about Jameson Williams. Jeff, what do you guys think?
The only issue I have with it, I understand he's probably the best wide receiver in the draft. And I'm just looking at all the holes that the Lions have. I was just thinking that they need somebody this year, knowing that Jameson playing this year. That was the thing with the pick. And maybe they are just looking down the line. Maybe they're like, yeah, we got Chark, we got Amon St. Ra. We're good this year on our receivers. We just want to get through this season, be somewhat competitive, and then look forward to exploding the next season. But, that was my only thing. I thought they might be able to do something else. Either trade out of that pick, possibly even get him later on if somebody allowed him to slide.
They traded up for him.
Just a team. Exactly. That's what I mean. Or stayed where they were. I just think they took him just a little bit prematurely when they had other needs, I thought. Guys that they might need to play this year. But,
right.
With the quarterback that can throw to him. But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, they had other needs. But they obviously went into this draft thinking they're going to go best player available at every pick. And they are building for the future. I don't think Detroit's going to fool anyone trying to think that they're trying to compete this year. I think they know that's out of the cards, and I think that the fans know that that's out of the cards. So I think this is more of a taking the best player available. He probably was their wide receiver 1 on their draft board. And when they saw him falling out of the top 10, they're like, all right, let's go back in. Let's get this guy. Because to them, he was going to be worth what they had to give up. Was it their need? No. But was he the best player available at that time? Probably. Will, you have anything you want to add?
All I have to do is just say Jared Goff. I mean, I think maybe this is symbolic of the Rodgers effect in the NFC North. That had Rodgers not come back to the Packers, I don't know if this is the pick the Lions make. But I think because Rodgers is back, a lot of the teams in the North are like, well, it's a rebuild year. And it looks like to me the Lions are setting up to have a veteran skill position offense ready to help a rookie quarterback next year.
Goff still has 3 years left on his deal.
They'll move it. Somebody will trade for him. NFL teams are desperate for quarterbacks right now.
I just looked at. I thought Goff was maybe 1-2 years max left on his deal. He still has 3 years left.
I think the Lions are clear they're going to take a quarterback next year now.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, though, I think the Lions made the mistake of trying to follow that trend. They looked at Justin Jefferson. They looked at what the receiver for the Bengals was doing. And they're like, we're going to try to catch that same magic in the bottle. And they forget that they're the Detroit Lions. That's going to be the issue.
Their luck probably won't quite be as lucky. All right, Will and Jeff, you guys both have the same first player. He's also one of my players. So which one of you two wants to introduce our next guy?
Go on, Jeff.
I'll let you do it, man. I'll talk about my guy.
Oh, look, we're talking about number 1 wide receivers. Then look, to me, Skyy Moore, and it's skill set with situation, right? And we're talking. To me, it's a fantasy discussion. What fantasy wide receiver, is to me the surest bet to produce at significant numbers that he could be your wide receiver 2 in the season, and to me that's Skyy Moore. Now, I'm also a little nervous that it's kind of a boom or bust. I think with him, he's either going to be really good fantasy-wise, or he's going to be a rookie season that we're all going to be talking bad about, Cordarelle Patterson-esque, bad about at the end of the year, because people, I think, are going to – I don't think it's going to be a sleeper pick. I think a lot of people are going to probably draft him higher than we think, especially as we get closer to the drafts. But if I had to pick a wide receiver right now that I'm going to go with out of the rookie class, it's Skyy Moore.
Yeah, I agree. He's a fantastic route runner.
Yeah.
Without Tyreek Hill there, they need someone to fill in. Will that be Juju? Will it be Skyy? We don't know right now. He's quick and he is still strong. He's very good at tracking down the deep ball, which is going to be important in that Kansas City offense. And outside of Travis Kelce, he's got the opportunity to be their target.
Look who he has thrown to him, right?
Yeah.
This is my problem with Detroit. No matter what, now how much talent's in the field, it's still Jared Goff.
Yep.
Skyy Moore just has to have enough time to get open, and Mahomes is going to get him the ball, especially on the deep routes.
Yeah, I agree. And will it be Juju that emerges? Skyy Moore, maybe to be McCole Hardman.
Could be McCole Hardman. Yeah.
I think Skyy Moore is going to get most of the hype, and I think he will. I think he has the best chance to be the number one wide receiver on the team. But I think this all will end up equating to Juju being draft day value when everyone forgets about him and everyone's hyping up Skyy Moore. I will continue to hype up Skyy Moore because I believe in the talent. I thought he was going to be a round one wide receiver. Obviously, he fell into the second, right into the laps of the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's pretty much the perfect fit for him. But yeah, I'd keep an eye on Juju as drafts come. Monitor his ADP because I think he'll definitely be a value on draft day, as we've already talked about. It's Patrick Mahomes throwing in the ball. Jeff, what do you have to say about Skyy Moore?
I think it was a great pick. I'm still just wondering who is going to have the best chemistry with Mahomes, man. A lot of people, I know he's older. I know he's had his issues. But there's always a spark with Josh Gordon. And I'm just saying, man, you just never know.
There is.
You kept him around, man.
There's fire.
You just never know. If that dude just happens to get some things together.
Yeah, that was quite the word choice you used there, Jeff. He's always a spark around Josh Gordon, eh?
Yeah, I know. So
Zach, what do you think about Skyy Moore?
Well, first off, I think he needs to stay off of the I think Skyy Moore is one of two possibilities. I think he has the ceiling of a wide receiver 3 flex, which is actually a compliment if you really think about how tough it really is for rookie wide receivers, even the best of them. Like Justin Jefferson took a little while to come on. AJ Brown took almost his whole entire rookie season. So when you have a rookie wide receiver already coming into the league, he's already going against it. And he's behind Juju, MVS. You got Hardman on there. So as juicy as that landing spot is, just think it's one of those scenarios where just not the target volume as far as fantasy wise. But if you're going like this is another one like James Williams, like dynasty value, before a couple seasons goes by and Skyy Moore is Pat Mahomes, go-to guy. You're like, wow, that was one of the best draft day values.
Yeah, if he turns out to develop that connection. McCole Hardman, whether he will not be there in a couple of years. MVS signed a 3-year deal, but MVS can't catch the ball for shit, and Patrick Mahomes is going to learn that quick. So
that's one thing to remember too is McCole Hardman's name. Right, remember that too, because we had this very same conversation about him when Tyreek Hill was facing that suspension going into that season, and they were like, "Well, this is it. He's the number one wide receiver," and that didn't really come to fruition. So
yeah, that was when they brought in Sammy Watkins, correct? And he went for his monster week 1 game.
Week one champion.
Yeah. Well, maybe he can do that for the Packers this year. But since Skyy Moore was my second player, Zach, we're going to introduce your second player now. Go ahead. Who are you going to talk about?
He's akin to one of Will's guys. That's James Cook, running back for the Buffalo Bills. So, really awesome to be an AFC East fan and watch the Jets and Bills just get better overnight. So that was kind of tough. But if you look at it, James Cook actually, you want to talk about landing spots and as far as where he was ranked as far as prospects to how far he's jumped in overall just rankings now that he has a team, I think James Cook is the biggest riser because he literally fits the exact thing that the Buffalo offense was missing, which was yards after catch. They ranked 32nd, and this guy is just basically a wide receiver with a running back's body, and he's actually a faster version of Dalvin Cook, and he's like a few inches taller, I believe. He was like third as far as like catches without a drop, so he's sure-handed. And he has to beat out two third-round picks in Devin Singletary and Zach Moss, and Duke Johnson, who had like a reunion back in Miami last year for like 2 weeks. So as far as beating out the talent, James Cook is probably already the best running back in that room, and he fills an absolute need. Like Brandon Beane's an awesome, he runs it's a great organization all the way around. They're well aware that this NFL is changing, and you need to just have absolute weapons at all positions. You can't just have a Frank the Tank in the backfield anymore and expect to just ground and pound every, and beat the Chiefs. Like that's a lot of that. Like everything they're doing is off of that loss. If you really kind of look at it, you shore up the secondary and then you get a weapon for Josh Allen. So that way, Josh Allen, you want to keep him around. He can't be your leading rusher and your superstar quarterback. We don't want to hear that for fantasy. But they don't look at it like that. They look at it like this is our prized possession. Maybe you shouldn't be rushing for 8 touchdowns every single season. And maybe let's upgrade a little bit at the running back. I think everybody wanted Breece Hall to go there. And instead you got James Cook. So,
yeah, Will, what do you think? He was one of your guys, so I'll let you go next. Would you like to add to what Zach said?
This is exactly what Zach's saying, and for fantasy, it's about situation. Breece Hall going to the Jets, but I'm not touching him. Not touching him. James Cook is my number one running back out of this class right now because he's go. If you watched him this season, you got to remember how much that offense was like, right? If you watched him this season, you see his stats. Like this year, he had 27 receptions. Previous 2 years was 16 each year. He evolved. He has that skill set that's going to benefit this team. He is so fortunate to get drafted. I mean, I'm sure he wanted to be a first-round pick, more money. But as far as the place to go for his career, I'm not sure he could have went to a better team. Yep. They're going to utilize him right. He's going to earn the trust. He'll be their starting running back by week 3.
He had more than double receiving touchdowns of what the leading Buffalo Bill running back had last year, and that was 2 with Matt Breida, and James Cook had 4. So it's like it's kind of a no-brainer, and I do have James Cook at 2, so I'm almost there with you, Will, just because I feel terrible not putting Breece Hall 1, but I can totally see James Cook in the long haul being the best.
If Breece Hall would have went to any other team, he'd be my number 1 running back.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't trust that the Jets will know how to use him correctly. And it's not like the Jets were empty in their running back room. I mean, so there's going to be some competition there. James Cook should be, if Buffalo's honest, he should be honestly
day one.
Day one. Yep.
Facts.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dynasty Breece Hall is still my number 1. If we're going redraft, I'd probably have Cook ahead of him, just due to the fact that he's on a better offense. I think Breece will struggle to get the touches with Michael Carter in that backfield, but Breece Hall is a 2nd-round pick, and Michael Carter is a 4th-round pick. Michael Carter is a smaller back who's going to be used more as receiving, so Breece Hall will see that 1-2, work. And then as for James Cook, he'll probably see that 2 to 3 down work with Devin Singletary, Zach Moss sprinkled in. One thing that does worry me is they'll probably throw in Devin Singletary when it comes down to goal line work. Yeah. And on an offense that's going to score a lot of touchdowns. That's something I would definitely look into. But James Cook, they did use that pick on him there, so he'll have the value, and he'll have PPR value for sure, catching dump-offs out of the backfield from Josh Allen as his coaches are screaming at him to not run anymore. Jeff, what do you want to add?
That's what I was going to bring up. I was just that's the only thing other than I'm not even worried about Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. I'm more worried about, Josh Allen still wanting to go ahead and run that ball when they're close to the goal line. It just seems like that's something that's in him. And I don't know if the coaching staff or even ownership for that fact, is going to be able to be like, Josh, we got you a running back now. Give him the ball when we're close to the goal line. Stop taking it yourself. So that's my only thing. I do think it's a great pickup. If they didn't get Breece Hall, I was like, they sure couldn't have done any worse than picking James Cook. So
yeah, they definitely could have. And I'm still, if you watch the video of him when he was getting drafted by the Bills, he looked almost upset.
Yeah, he did.
Everyone's making fun of him for going to literally the best team and then looking upset like he didn't want to be there. So he must really hate the cold weather. That's my running theory. So hopefully he can get used to it.
Maybe his brother didn't get along with Diggs. I don't know.
No, maybe that's what it is. Maybe
that's funny.
But yeah, let's move on. Jeff, Jeff, the floor is yours. We're gonna open it up to you. You can go ahead. This is your opportunity.
At first, I was kind of like Pete, Don, talking about Seahawks coach and GM. What are we doing? Then I thought about it because I did watch a lot of Michigan State football this year. Kenneth Walker, the third, second coming of Marshawn Lynch. I was like, I see what you're doing, fellas. I know we got Rashad Penny. We thought he was going to be that guy. He's not. We are rebuilding. Both and the Legion of Doom. Backfield of Boom and the Legion. No, backfield of Boom. No, backfield of Doom and Legion of Boom. There we go.
Let's go.
That's what we're building. That's what we're building. Just wanted to put that out there. Kenneth Walker is a great fit for Seattle. He might be. I do like James Cook, but for me, knowing what we do in Seattle, that's the running back dynasty I will be picking for my own team. The ball's going to go to him a whole lot. Drew Lock is not going to be slinging the ball around. Matter of fact, he's not even going to be starting. It's going to be Geno Smith. They're going to say, Geno, got you this guy to hand the ball. There you go. Until DK starts getting mad, okay, throw the ball to DK.
Hey,
you can't just go past that.
Plane to Vegas and go bet the under on the wins because of the Geno Smith.
Oh my God! It's like shit.
You're giving this guy Geno Smith as his quarterback, and you're giving him one of the worst offensive lines in the league.
No,
Yes.
We just picked up two great offensive linemen. We're gonna
still one of the worst offensive lines in the league. You have a quarterback who won't be able to throw. Defenses are just gonna put 8 men in the box.
We're gonna go right over the top of DK.
And then the Seahawks are about to run Rashad Penny into the ground this season.
Yes.
Because they need to keep – this is not a season the Seahawks are going to try and win anything. Mm-hmm. This is a season for them to get younger.
We're going to surprise
stay healthy.
So Rashad Penny? Talking about your own Carolina Panthers there, buddy.
We're not going to win anything either. No, we're not going for anything either.
Hawks,
neither are the Seahawks. The Seahawks are going to run Rashad Penny into the ground because they don't have – the necessity to put Walker out there and to give him all these touches this year because the Seahawks are not going to win anything. Just like the Panthers.
Friend, you just wait and see. One thing we do is compete. We will compete.
Wow.
With Drew Lock.
I have one question. When did you sign with the Seahawks? Because that was the most classic PR spin. Are you getting a percentage of season tickets? Because that was
you bought stock in the company or something.
Right.
Look,
you're trying to sell us Geno Smith?
John and Pete saw a couple of my posts and they reached out and said, "Look, we do not want to lose you as one of the 12s. We don't want to lose you." So this is our plan. They divulged the plan to me, and I said, "I see what you guys are doing. I'm with you. I'm with you."
No, it's I don't know what you guys think about the Seahawks this year, but Kenneth Walker, I think he's a great running back. If he was on the Bills, he'd by far be my number one running back. But unfortunately, unless the Seahawks get Baker, that could definitely help their offense.
Come on, man.
Oh my
Come on,
goodness! So it's just awful option after awful option for.
Yeah, I mean Jimmy Garoppolo, I hear he's
Pacific
available
Northwest.
for trade.
It's just for this year. It's just for this year, man. Just Geno Smith. He can run the offense for this year. All right. Just like what you guys are saying.
Exactly.
Are you trying to get DK? And what week does DK demand a trade stuff show?
What? Yeah. What? Yeah. Exactly.
Bro, preseason will come up and he'll be like, "Okay, we still don't have a quarterback. What am I doing here?"
Kirk Cousins don't look so bad now, does he?
He's like, wait. How much money did Christian Kirk just get?
We got some things. We got 2 young quarterbacks actually that I'm keeping my eye on as well. My whole thing is just keep Drew Lock off the field.
They're not. Drew Lock is going to be your starting quarterback.
He's a starting quarterback.
No.
Yeah.
He's the best
what happens
quarterback
when
in that room.
week 1 comes around and Drew Lock is the starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks?
I'm really holding out hope that Caleb Elby, who was the quarterback for Skyy Moore and Dwayne Eskridge at Western Michigan, he's actually been invited for a tryout.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be, hey.
Oh my god!
So now we're talking about some walk-on quarterbacks here.
That's it. Or Levi Lewis, who played for the.
Yo, he's trying to pull that
killing me, dude.
Diamond in the rough.
We got a guy exactly.
Jeff, is the water boy trying out? Because
I was just kidding.
Dude,
he's like,
you've got from Drew Lock to Geno Smith, the 2 walk-ons. Shit, number 12 may come out of the stands and start playing.
Jeff, when are you shooting up?
That's my thing.
And if that doesn't work out, there's a guy. My mailman said he used to play back in high school. We're gonna try to run it.
I would rather see Jacob Eason than Drew Lock.
Oh, is he on the roster or is he?
He is. He is on the roster as well. He is on the roster.
Sounds like you guys have nothing but bad quarterbacks on the roster.
We got some options,
I love Kenneth Walker coming in.
Time when everybody thought Matt.
Me too, Zach. Me too.
Starter.
Not anymore.
And then the young Russell Wilson stepped up and took over because he had a great running game and a great undervalued defense. That's what's going to happen here. We're going to surprise a lot of people.
You definitely should do like White House press secretary because you are just you great at I'm like every time you pull me back in and I'm like and he's like wait what walk on. I was like wait, you had me there for a second.
So what
we're going to be the surprise of the NFC West. I'm telling you right now.
So what round? Oh, you're going to be the surprise, all right. What round are you taking Kenneth Walker in the draft?
I'm probably going to take him about, I'd say, 5th or 6th.
Ooh,
I'm taking him pretty high.
You must be going wide receiver heavy then.
Well, in a couple of my leagues, we got keeper leagues, so I've already got.
No. I'm talking about redraft. I'm sorry. I'm talking about clean slate. Where does Kenneth walk? There's no way you take him in the 5th or 6th round.
I might.
Oh, I want to be in your league.
Me too. Can I join, please?
That's what people said last year, and who won?
Well, okay.
I tell you what, though, he's a first-round pick in dynasty rookie drafts. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no one's going to argue that.
But the thing is, do you go, and I know a lot of it for Dynasty, a lot of it is team makeup, but at what point do you pivot from wide receiver? Do you pivot from, Kenneth Walker and then, take maybe Drake London or Garrett Wilson instead? Like, you know what I mean?
And keeper?
Yeah,
like how these guys go to different teams, man. Because I don't like the Falcons. Yeah. I hate the Jets.
They're all pretty terrible if you look at it.
Give me Skyy Moore. Give me James Cook.
Yeah, there's no Najee Harris this year.
Yeah,
the guy that you're like, yes, he's going to be great for fantasy. There's no question about it.
Yeah. There's no one that jumps off the page like that this year. It's going to be interesting. But I can guarantee you, Drew Lock will be the starting quarterback at Seattle Seahawks come week 1, and Jeff will be harping on how good Drew Lock is by then. Like, oh yeah, I was watching Drew Lock in camp. This Drew Lock guy, he's pretty good.
He's
He's
dancing.
gonna improve Kenneth Walker's,
That is one thing I will not be doing. It's gonna be Geno Smith. I'm telling you right now. Or one of two walk-offs.
Unless he gets another DUI. I hear he likes to get a couple of those. So, maybe he'll get another DUI and be off the team.
This is his last chance.
Yeah, he's good.
I think that was a couple chances ago. Was it not?
We've spoken to him.
Fifth time's the charm. All right, let's move on. I'm gonna go with my third player here. I'm gonna be talking about a tight end. Switch it up a little bit. I'm gonna bring up Jelani Woods of the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts have been looking for their tight end one for a while. Jack Doyle is now retired, so they did re-sign Mo Alley-Cox to a 3-year deal. Mo Alley-Cox is a decent tight end. He's not amazing. You bring a guy who had the best RS score of any tight end ever, scoring a perfect 10. This man is 6'7", 250 pounds, and he ran a 4.6. That's unmatched when it comes to pure athletic ability. God. You take a guy who's that tall, put him in an offense with Matt Ryan, and, you're set up for some potential. He's not a super high drafted guy. I think he's going to be a great dynasty stash later on in your leagues. Maybe this year tight ends, usually do start off a little rough, so he might not have an amazing first season. But you bring him back into that offense next season with Matt Ryan when he's established himself as possibly the number one tight end on that team. I think he could be extremely scary. He's just got to turn all of this extreme athletic ability onto the field. He had 44 catches last season and 8 touchdowns. He's going to be a red zone target. You put him and give Matt Ryan, the best, he's going to be great in the red zone. You give him a guy like Julio Jones, who never really did great in the red zone later on in his career, but he started off okay. And Matt Ryan will be able to hit those back shoulder fades, put him one-on-one over a corner, a safety. You don't have anyone on your defense who's going to be able to cover a guy who's 6'7", one-on-one. So he's a guy I'm definitely looking at later on in my dynasty leagues. What do you guys think?
Do you guys mind if I start?
Go ahead.
I won't be long. But didn't we just see this last season with Matt Ryan and Kyle Pitts? That was my thing. Like,
that was the Falcons.
That was the Falcons. Come in and just be like, oh. And it made a lot of people draft him early. He went like, it didn't happen. That was my thing. I get what you're saying. Zach. It really does look pretty, but they've got so many other options. I think Pittman's going to explode pretty soon here. You always got JT by the goal line, so you don't necessarily need to throw the ball up. I'm excited about the new kid. Alec? What's his name? The other receiver that they drafted as well. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. It really does. But from what I just saw last year with Kyle Pitts, a guy that was a freak of nature, a guy that was supposed to set the league on fire, a guy that had every opportunity, especially with Ridley having his issues, and he just really never exploded. He had a couple of good games. Maybe it's me. I'm just kind of snake bit where I don't want to jump into that again.
Yeah, I think it
is intriguing. It is intriguing. I'll give you that.
It was the Falcons, in my opinion, because the Falcons are a terrible franchise. Never should have picked up Cordarelle Patterson. But back to their tight end situation here. It wasn't Matt Ryan. It's not like he wasn't looking for a tight end all the time. It was the fact that the Falcons kept taking him out of the game. And to me, I don't think the Colts will do that. I think they brought Matt Ryan in for a reason. And like I said, you're talking about how highly drafted he was last season. Kyle Pitts, you're not getting that in Jelani Woods. He's going later on, mid-third round in dynasty redraft or dynasty leagues for rookie drafts. And that's in the higher end. He could even fall into the beginning of the fourth sometimes, depending on your league size and how many rounds you have. So it's not like you're giving up the 102 or anything to get Kyle Pitts. you're giving up a third or a fourth round pick to go get this guy who could turn out to be
is a really good stash. Yes, for that who possibly could. But that was my only thing. I was kind of hearing that same narrative last year where everybody, it got me like, oh my God, yeah, Kyle Pitts is about to just set the world on fire. And it was just like, man.
That's what happens when the Falcons draft you. And that's why I mean, let's Drake London.
I mean, he did finish as tight end 3 with only one touchdown. And so, I mean, he did have like a really, really good rookie season. It's just unfortunate that he only pulled in one touchdown. So I can understand what you're saying with the whole being frustrated and with Matt Ryan potentially having success there. But when you have the two world's largest tight ends on the same team, I just don't know where in the history of football that actually has worked out, with maybe the exception of like Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. But sometimes I do it too. Like we get all caught up in like these crazy like metrics of like size and speed and things like that. But a lot of times if you look at the best players at that position, like Travis Kelce looks like a frat bro. Like I'm pretty sure he's got a bear belly. So like you could be 6'8" and run a 4.2, and there's so many of those guys that come in the league and they never pan out for whatever crazy reason. You figure if you're taller and faster than everybody, you should be the best, right? But the greatest player of all time looks like, he was malnourished when he went into the NFL Combine. If you look at Tom Brady's some of his photos, so I could totally see what you're saying, but I don't know.
Like I said, he's a later round flyer. You will know whether or not he's going to turn out to be this guy. He is raw when it comes to that, and what is intriguing is the fact that his measurables were the best of any tight end ever to come out in the draft. So, when you look at that, it's not like you're paying up, like Jeff said, to get a Kyle Pitts. So that's why I'm going to be targeting him. I have a 2 tight end dynasty league, and he'll definitely be a guy I'm going to try and target just due to the fact that tight ends are going to be extremely needy. And you can get a guy, like I said, if they're smart, no matter what he turns out to be a great route runner in the NFL, whether or not, any of that comes to play, you go at the 1 yard line, you line him up against a corner or a safety. That should be almost a guaranteed touchdown with Matt Ryan throwing him the ball. So the Colts are smart, though.
In that league of yours, he's what, a late first round pick?
Probably not. That's
with
the thing.
Two tight end dynasty.
He's gonna be like a end of the second, maybe beginning of the third round type guy, and I'm okay paying that price due to the fact that he could end up being a great tight end for a while. Will, any thoughts on Jelani Woods before we move on?
It's funny, there used to be a time where in the NFL, rookie wide receivers need a year or two. And then the last couple of years, they kind of shattered that. Now the tight ends seem to be having the problem adjusting to the NFL. I don't know why, because as Zach was saying, it doesn't make sense. You're 6'7".
They have to block in the NFL.
Yeah, but they should be tight ends should be doing better in the passing game. Mm-hmm. These rookie tight ends should be doing better in the passing game, and they're not. And I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know what it is, but it seems like as a class of position, the tight ends are having a harder time converting to the NFL than they used to.
Yeah. And, it could be due to the fact that the coaches want them to block more. Mm-hmm. And then they see that they're terrible blocking, so they're trying to reward the guys, could be that kind of thing, because you've seen that happen before. It could just be due to the fact that these guys get tired after they have to block for an entire game, as opposed to in college when they did the great tight ends don't have to block, They just get to kind of go stand out there when they're running the ball. So it could be a combination of the different things, and it definitely is interesting to look at. In a couple of years, we'll probably be talking about running backs not being able to adapt. We'll see something. Mm-hmm. It'll be a new position. Maybe it'll just be quarterbacks, and we'll just have terrible quarterback drafts from here on out. I hope not, but it could happen. Well, I mean, next year when you're looking at, the Falcons and the Lions taking a quarterback, I wouldn't be surprised if they ruined both of those prospects. So, wow.
Well, you guys got your
quarterback team, Zach and Will. Let's talk about your last guy. Which one of you guys wants to introduce him?
Go ahead, Zach.
Well, I'm going to quote this young man. He says, quote, "They done bleeped up. I ain't even gonna lie." He said the NFL messed up letting him slide that far, and that he's got this big chip on his shoulder now, which is crazy because he's the second quarterback off the board. So yeah, just shows you how the NFL was like, no, you guys are you hit this on the nail, though. This is a terrible quarterback draft class, which is why he's as the 74th pick was the second quarterback gone. So that's different. I don't know if that's happened.
Josh Rosen all over again with those comments.
Right. But the difference is if you were at Walmart and you saw Josh Rosen and Desmond Ridder standing next to each other, you would go, that guy plays professional football. That guy sells car insurance. So there's a big difference there. And Desmond Ridder, just another guy that has just the physical capabilities. You've probably heard it 1,000 times. He's a winner. And everybody in that Cincinnati team has, crazy upside. And you figure he's basically playing with Pierce, who in practice would probably be covered by Sauce Gardner. So you figure the whole iron sharpens iron kind of thing. He's, every practice he's going against the best cornerback in this draft. And basically just took that organization and made them something, at least something to respect, So with the winning record and just the pure upside of his talent, I know he comps out to basically Marcus Mariota, which is funny. So they basically have like the two same quarterbacks on the roster. But again, Marcus Mariota is no stranger to kind of sucking. So it wouldn't be strange to see Ridder take over sooner than later.
Will, what would you like to add to that?
Okay, so Jeff, you ready?
I'm ready.
He's Russell Wilson in this draft.
Yep. Love it.
That's who he is. He's Russell. And I think he went to the right.
Wrong.
Well, I think he went to the right. I think he went to the right team for his development. He doesn't start this year. He may start by the end of the year, but he doesn't start at the start of the season. And I think there's no expectation and no pressure. If he washes out, he's a fourth round pick.
Wrong OC for our wrong head coach. I'm thinking he won't be there next year, possibly.
I think there's definitely better opportunities for him to develop. I personally wanted to see him taken where the Seahawks screwed up and took Kenneth Walker. I think they should have gotten Desmond Ridder there. I wanted Ridder to end up in Seattle because I thought that was going to be a great opportunity for him with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett there. Obviously, they didn't go with Desmond Ridder. They went with Kenneth Walker and ruined his value first year.
I mean, you want to talk about development. I mean, if Calvin Ridley can get out of bingo next year and kind of straighten his stuff out, you're talking. You have Calvin Ridley, Drake London, Kyle Pitts as your three options, and then you have a young, proven winning quarter. I honestly think you're absolutely right. It's a great place for development. He doesn't have to worry about, even if he is thrust into the lineup. I don't think there's expectations of like having to take Atlanta and bring them to greatness. They were just in the Super Bowl a few years ago. This isn't one of those like starved fan bases. That's like it's not like us with Tua has one bad game and we want to throw him off a cliff. I think if Desmond Ridder takes some time to progress and he has all those weapons, I mean, you really seriously could have Ridley, Drake, and Pitts. That's a scary line right there.
I think the other thing that helps him too is Malik Willis didn't go to a team like that because that's who's going to be compared to, right? It's not. I still don't understand what the Steelers did in the first round. That was Christian Ponder getting drafted by the Vikings all over again. That was
Christian.
They could have got any quarterback they wanted in the second round, and they wasted a pick. And that was so unlike the Steelers to do that. But
wow,
I think for Ridder, the other thing that helps him is that Willis didn't go to Seattle or he didn't go to a team where the fans would be always comparing. Willis ain't going to play if he plays, it'll be 2 years. Right? And so there's, I think him and Willis and Ridder, they actually kind of, maybe in hindsight, they lost money, but it may work out better for them because I think they're in situations that the fans aren't even going to care. Honestly, like, fourth round pick. Okay.
Yeah, I honestly think he's in a good place. He actually reminds me not of Marcus Mariota, but he reminds me of Matt Ryan with running ability, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
That's kind of who he is. He's almost like a perfect fit, but it just shows that they just don't have the head coach for that guy. That's the thing. But next year, especially if they get somebody like Eric Bieniemy as a head coach or something like that.
That's never going to happen. Eric Bieniemy will never leave the Chiefs, apparently.
It doesn't seem like it's, he's the one calling that shot. It's for some reason.
It's not up to him, but he'll never leave the Chiefs. No one wants it.
I hate to bring in basketball, but he's like the Mark Jackson of the NFL, where just for some reason nobody wants to hire that dude as a head coach. I don't understand why. Most people don't understand why, but he just seems like he's unhireable as a head coach.
They don't want to give the Chiefs those 2 third-round picks that the NFL is going to give them if they hire Eric Bieniemy. That's got to be what it is. Everyone's already scared of the Chiefs. That's the only reason I can think of not wanting to hire him is you don't want to benefit the Chiefs. But
yes, I don't know what it is, but it's just that dude cannot get a job at all. So anyway,
I think the fans will blame the coach before they blame Ritter, so I definitely think he has that going for him.
Yeah.
As opposed to if he was on the Seahawks. And as you said, he'll get to sit behind Marcus Mariota. Personally, I have no faith in the Falcons organization.
Jeez.
So that's probably why I'm not super high on this landing spot. I think there could have been better landing spots. I would have preferred him on the Steelers.
Have not won a Super Bowl recently. Zach is just going to destroy your team.
For real.
The Falcons are just terrible. Anyways, just about as bad as the Panthers are. So we'll just leave it at that. But we have Sam Darnold, so we're good to go, I guess. Not going to be a fun year for us either. Jeff, we're talking about quarterbacks. Introduce your quarterback you want to talk about today.
Well, at first I was going to go with Kenny Pickett, but when somebody made this comparison, I'm still trying to figure out if I agree with it or not. But I did used to be a Houston Oilers fan back in the day. But I'm not comparing him to Warren Moon. I can see a little bit of Steve McNair in Mr. Malik Willis. Now, it will not come out for a few years.
R.I.P.
That's the thing I can see with him being in that position. If he gets somebody that really works with him, I think there is a huge upside in this guy just being a real dual threat quarterback. And it gives them time to put some guys around him. I think that was a thing that I do kind of think works in his favor with A.J. Brown not being there, because now, you're not like if for some reason Tannehill does not work out at the beginning of this season where you try to throw this kid in there and now he's got receivers, he's got a running game, and he fails, it could ruin his career. Just let him sit, let him learn, and then let him loose, just like they did with Steve McNair. He did not go in there and start right off. It took him about 2 or 3 years before he actually got his starting position. If they play their cards right, let this kid learn and let him get, a intelligence about him and playing that position, I think they could have, a real serviceable, rugged quarterback. He's not going to set the world on fire by passing, but I think he could just go ahead and be a really good, tough, hard-nosed quarterback that can be, turn out to really be a good pick for them.
Yeah, I think he needed to sit behind someone. Now he will get the opportunity to sit behind Ryan Tannehill. Unfortunately, I think when it comes time for Malik Willis to play, Derrick Henry's time as being a true number one running back will be over. And I think that really hurts his dynasty value because we saw in Liberty, they ran a lot of RPOs, where it's kind of his option. He could run it, throw it, one read type things, which he would do really well in the play action aspect of the game when it's only 1 or 2 reads. But what he will build under Ryan Tannehill for sure. We'll just see what they put around him after Ryan Tannehill moves on, whether or not that's going to be after this season or after next season. We will see. I wasn't super high on Malik Willis because I thought he was going to go to a team who was going to start him right away. So I definitely think this helps his dynasty value out a little bit because you're not going to be able to play him this year. Hopefully not, at least. So, he would be – hopefully he'll fall in drafts a little bit where he can be a value to your dynasty roster where you're kind of just taking a shot on him, hoping that he turns out to be the quarterback of the future for the Tennessee Titans because there still is a chance that he won't turn out. I'm just not sure what exactly the Titans are trying to do, trading away A.J. Brown for Treylon Burks. That really makes – I mean, sure, if you really love Treylon Burks, but A.J. Brown's a proven wide receiver. You'd have to pay him more, obviously. But I don't understand that move. But I guess if Treylon Burks ends up being a bust, that really leaves them with no wide receivers for the future as well. Robert Woods now is getting older. If he ends up busting, you leave Malik Willis with no Derrick Henry, no wide receivers. That's a rough situation. So there's lots of ups and lots of downs that can happen with this situation. And I honestly have no idea what's going to happen. Zach, what do you think is going to happen for Malik Willis's future?
I think Malik Willis is caught in between being one of those guys that will start for the Ravens on a week 8 after he bounces around to 6 different teams, and he's a little mixture of Jamarcus Russell. I mean, you know all of those. Yeah, I mean, he can wow you in a pair of shorts, but when it comes to play in the field, we've seen in the past all those Liberty quarterbacks that have really panned out in the NFL. That's right. There are none. It's just the NFL is smarter than we gave it credit for. There's a reason why he fell as far as he did, even after having probably the hottest pre-draft out of any of the quarterbacks. There was no doubt about it. He was the hot item. He was so overhyped. I mean, you had people projecting to go to Detroit with the second pick or something like that. And for a trash organization like Detroit to even go, nah, we're good. You know that he's not going to be competing at the next level. So these guys. I mean, it's funny. It's almost like we have this like memory where we forget that like almost every one of these quarterbacks that come out like this end up being a complete just letdown. He may exist in the NFL for years. I'm not saying he's gonna, he's not a complete bust.
Well, he could end up having a career where like Geno Smith, where in a couple years, some dumb fan is hyping him up to, oh my God, this guy he's gonna be great. He's gonna be great. And everyone else is like, no, he's not. No, he's not.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. Even Ryan Tannehill's a first round pick,
I think I just got called a dumb fan.
Well, I don't know what happened at the end of the show tonight, but hold on. At least I compared Pittsburgh's decision to a quarterback that won the playoff game. You went with Jamarcus Russell. Wow.
I went to Geno Smith, so
it was the same thing. Jamarcus Russell. No, that's not at all what I was saying. I was just saying, like, I don't know.
You're saying he was hyped up and he's going to be bad.
I could be totally wrong, and I'll look back on it and I'll eat it. You guys can make fun of me. You guys can roast me for the I'll take it. But sometimes you just gotta call your shot. And for some reason, like, there's just something about it. I don't know. It just makes me believe that it's not a good landing spot. So it's not like he can really hit the ground running. And even if he were to start, like you guys just mentioned it, AJ Brown and an aging Derrick Henry, he's already kind of against it.
Yeah, so. You knew Malik was in trouble in the draft when his own college coach was saying, "Well, he needs to learn to study more." I'm like, I don't need my college coach a couple weeks before the draft saying, "Hey, the world, I'm not that smart in the playbook." So right. I mean, that was like, I don't know if I've ever seen a college coach do that to their quarterback, but.
And this is not a defensive end that slipped that late. This is a quarterback. These guys are cream of, like they're the the most valuable piece in all of sports, not in the NFL. So for teams to pass, almost how many times did every team pass on him? Twice?
At least twice, some 3 times. You know?
Some 3 times. I mean,
but,
that's.
And then there is the thing where they do make a mistake. You know, just classic thing with Russell Wilson with his size. You know.
Yep, a greatest quarterback ever.
Who passed over him for Brock Osweiler, and now look where he's at. So you just never know what these guys are willing to do and who works with them. And that's what I'm saying. Hopefully, go ahead, Will.
I said, can we count the quarterbacks that have been disparaged in this last-minute conversation? Marcus Russell, Christian Ponder, Geno Smith, and Brock Osweiler. Let's just own it that we've probably created enemies.
We had 2 weeks off. We had 2 weeks off, and we're coming out firing. I'm like, I'm bringing the Jamarcus Russell take tonight.
Well, hey, we're getting close to football, right? But, you know, I do want to point out, Zach said something earlier that I think is the same thing with the Titans. Zach talked about how the Bills reacted to their playoff loss. I think the Titans are reacting to their playoff loss. They moved A.J. Brown. They kind of feeling out a quarterback, maybe not that, you know, for value. Hey, if he hits, he hits. If not, you're not in bad shape next year going into the draft. But it seems to me that maybe Tennessee is rethinking their viability right now. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. You know, could Derrick Henry get traded? I don't know what the cap is.
So the Bills lose in the playoffs and they add a bunch of talent. The Titans lose in the playoffs and they get rid of everyone.
Yeah, I think the Titans think they're an old team and they're trying to rebuild. Because if you look, A.J. Brown, that was honestly, I don't know if the kid from Arkansas, right? Was he from Arkansas? They drafted?
Yeah. Right.
But I wouldn't have paid A.J. Brown the money he wanted. There's no way in heck I would have put that salary on my books.
Yep. Yeah,
but that's you saying pretty much that we're not looking to really try to push the envelope and make it to the Super Bowl this year. That's pretty much what they did.
Yeah.
By trading. Yeah. You know,
they're giving the Colts the division for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
We all love our wives, but every now and then you got to trade it in for the younger.
the
younger version. That's what they did with AJ Brown. They're like, listen, man, AJ, you've been great. We've had our good times. That vacation was awesome. But Treylon, man, he's young. He's got the puffy face. So
and he's cheaper. Emphasis on cheaper.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
He doesn't want those $1 million dinners, you know?
Not yet.
Couple $100,000 here and there, and then once he wants those $1 million dinners, trade him away too, I guess.
Hey, before we wrap this up, can anyone explain to me what the hell Arizona did?
How does Marquise Brown worth a first-round pick? That's what I want to know.
I thought he retired for video games. I didn't even know he was still playing in the NFL.
After everything that happened, how is he worth a first-round pick? Like the Ravens got almost the same value for Marquise Brown as the Titans did for AJ Brown.
They knew D-Hop was getting suspended.
Or Kyler was like, I want Marquise Brown.
That's his boy.
Like, okay, Kyler.
But they could give him a second-round pick and got him.
Yeah. You know, you would think.
Or just drafted him.
Yeah, they could have done that too. But then they would have given up a first-round pick then, so.
But I do like, Jeff, what you said. It probably came down to Kyler was like, yo, if you want to keep me happy, get my boy Hollywood on this team.
They should be like, okay, bye, Kyler. We don't want you anymore.
Because you know that Arizona team and Kyler Murray especially is like, wait, how much did Christian Kirk just get paid?
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, wow. All right. Well, you guys are gonna have to make me feel better about that and bring in Hollywood Brown to.
All right. So we've talked about all of the rookie quarterbacks except for Matt Corral. So we got to talk a little bit about Matt Corral because he's honestly got the best chance to start out of all the ones we've named other than Kenny Pickett. So I think they'll probably start off the season with Sam Darnold, but I'm not going to be surprised come week 3 if Matt Corral's in the game. And if he is, I think with Christian McCaffrey, new offensive line, that I won't be surprised if he outscores Kenny Pickett coming into the season if he starts.
Oh, the question is, will he outscore Geno Smith?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Not even a question.
I'll take that back.
Hey, can we?
Matt Corral, Geno Smith. Okay.
I really hope he succeeds, man, just from all of the issues of depression and everything else. But that's what scares me. I just don't know how adversity is going to affect him. That's the only thing. That's what I'm worried about Carolina throwing him in there. I'm kind of like, let Sam go ahead and get beat up.
Even if they do force Corral in, the Panthers fans are not going to get mad at Corral because no Panthers fan is currently happy with Matt Rule as the head coach, and we will 100% blame Matt Rule until he's gone. So Corral could start all 17 games, and we could go 0-17, and no one would blame Matt Corral. We would just blame Matt Rule instead because Matt Rule is the problem in Carolina right now.
You're Matt Rule. You are without a doubt the number one hot seat coach heading into this season, and you're gonna bank on Sam Darnold to keep your job. I don't understand why Matt Corral isn't the starter day one. Like we've tried the Sam Darnold experiment. It has not worked. You guys were smart. You took the value quarterback pick and a guy that some people had as the number one quarterback when the college season was still going on. Another
Panthers
one of those
apparently had him as their number one quarterback in the draft.
Right, which you have to adjust your perspective though, because these quarterbacks, comparison, right? Like they said, Davis Mills would have been the number one quarterback drafted in this draft.
Well, he would have been if he stayed in school.
Right. So you look at it from that way, and it's kind of like, okay, you guys probably made the smart move and not try to pull something in the first round. You got Ike Ekwonu, right? That was so you look at an upgraded line, Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore. So it's not like you have, it's pretty good pieces to put around a rookie guy to potentially succeed. So if you look at it from Matt Rule's perspective, like if I know there's like a 75% chance I'm going to get fired within the next 6 months of my job, I'm going to do everything I can to keep it, not rely on a guy that sees ghosts, So it's like, I don't know.
Okay, so Zach, it's going to be Foles as your starting quarterback week 1.
No, we literally can't. Like, we're paying Matt Corral now. We're paying Sam Darnold $19 million. We cannot afford to bring in another quarterback. Everyone's like, oh, bring Cam Newton back to mentor Corral. We already have P.J. Walker as well. We literally can't afford to pay another quarterback, and we can't carry 4 quarterbacks on the roster. We'd be dumb to carry 3. So I don't understand why everyone's like, oh, the Panthers are going to bring in all these quarterbacks. It doesn't make financial sense to bring in all these quarterbacks and have money wrapped up in quarterbacks that we won't have on the roster come the start of the season. So that's my take on the Panthers bringing extra quarterbacks. It makes no sense to me at all whatsoever. That's just be dumb.
We're looking for Caleb Williams next year. I just want to throw that out to you guys.
Yep. CJ Stroud. It's my pick.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud's going to go first. We're going to take Caleb Williams.
So that's why you want Geno Smith to start. Because it's your best chance. Best chance to tank.
It's definitely a better chance than tanking with a walk-on.
Yeah, you can tank with the walk-on. There you go. I like that option better.
Geno will win you a couple Thursday night games.
I think so.
Against Arizona. The 2 games against Arizona.
Yeah.
Yep. I feel like I always see the Seahawks like lime green uniforms on TNF. Like I feel like at least once a year. I mean, I guess that makes sense. That's how the schedule kind of works. But I feel like every time I like pop on like TNF, it's like Russell Wilson and lime green.
I think Amazon should let us call the game. We should be a side.
I agree.
That would work.
Yeah.
We can't be worse than Joe Buck and Troy Aikman.
Yeah. R.I.P.
All right, there you go.
They had a good run.
They're still together.
I thought they were.
No, they're together on Thursday Night Football.
Oh, that's who. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Damn. Who's Fox's number 1 team then? Or are they doing both?
Yeah.
No, they're not.
Where going?
I'm pretty sure
Kirk Herbstreit was going.
They're together, but are they on Thursday night or Monday night? They might be on Monday night.
Oh.
Let's see. Hold on.
No. Because that's ESPN is Monday night.
Yeah.
No, but I thought Aikman went to ESPN for Monday night.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And I think he brought Joe Buck with him.
Oh God, I have a hard time
because we have the Manning cast to get us through Monday Night Football 10 weeks out of the year. Yeah, Troy Aikman and Joe Buck are on ESPN, so we have the Manning cast to get rid of them, so we don't have to worry about it. Makes me happy.
So I don't have to listen to Joe Buck on Sundays anymore.
Nope. No, exactly.
Thank God.
That's gonna be weird though. It's gonna be
America's Game of the Week without those two. It's gonna be hopefully
watch
Ken, whatever Ken's last name is, and Greg Olsen.
Yep.
That's the dream duo for that America's Game of the Week. Yeah.
Greg Olsen. Yep.
Greg Olsen. I love me some Greg Olsen as an announcer. I just really hope it's not Drew Brees because then I'm going to either have to listen to Drew Brees and Tony Romo, both of which I hate. So I would prefer not to have them somehow finagle Drew Brees out of.
All right, Jim. They're at the goal line here. There's a good chance they're going to run the ball. Wow, how did he know?
Yeah, and everyone's like, oh my God.
Wow, genius.
They have no running backs in the backfield. All right, 5 wide. It's going to throw the ball here.
It's 4th and 25, Jim. They might punt the ball.
I hate listening to Tony Romo, man. I hate it so much.
Oh, God.
But, some people seem to like it. I don't know why. Every time I bring up the fact that I don't like Tony Romo, everyone's like, oh my God, Tony Romo's amazing. Shut up.
You must be talking to people in Dallas.
Yep.
But let's end the show on that high note, talking about how much we all hate Tony Romo. Something everyone can hopefully bond over.
5 quarterbacks disparaged today.
And Troy Aikman, so we make it 6.
This episode was a massacre.
No, it was.
But thank you guys for joining. Our socials have been scrolling across the bottom of the screen throughout. So you can check me out at Pro Football Craze, Zach out at Ocean State FF, and Jeff and Will are on Media MPC. So make sure you check us out. Check out the Media app, and make sure you tune back in next week for another episode of Crazy's Corner. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Sir. Thank you.